105.5 WDHA here on All Mixed Up. I'm Jim Monaghan. And well, I don't know if my next guest has ever been quite introduced in this way before, but this is one of my favorite songs that he wrote. Wish that I could come with the morning sun shining through your window. I could be the one to open up your day. I love that major seventh chord, Rich. Good morning.
I did a lot of major sevenths, man. That seems to be one of the chords that fit in. Hey, you sound really good doing that, man. I tried doing that song a couple years ago at one of the shows at SoPac for David Stone, and oh my goodness, I had to find a key I could even sing it in.
Well, it is a little early in the morning. I think you've been doing it in the key of G lately. I brought it down to E because I'm not quite warmed up yet. But if you couldn't tell already, my guest is a founding member of Buffalo Springfield, a founding member of Poco. He's also in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Please once again welcome Richie Furay to WDHA and All Mixed Up. Richie, good morning.
Hey, Jim, how you doing? Good to see you, man.
A new album coming out very shortly. It's a country album.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, for someone who, I don't know if you were in the basement on the foundation of country rock, but if not, you were certainly on the ground floor of it. Why wait till now to do a pure country record? Because it's always been in your music.
Well, you know what, this whole project was something that came very unexpectedly to me. It was I was doing a benefit concert for autism in California, and an old friend of mine, Val Gray, great producer in his own right and a friend of mine since Buffalo Springfield days, he came to the show and he asked if I would like to do another project with him. I'd recorded I Still Have Dreams with him in 1979. Oh my goodness. I don't know about doing, but anyway, those numbers, they're just not computing so much anymore. But so I, you know, as we talked about, we discussed, you know, what his idea was to do covers of country hits. And after we got everything, the groundwork laid and everything, it just looked like a project that would be fun to do, because the songs that we picked between Val and his partner, Michael Miller, who also is a dear friend of mine, who was very instrumental in getting Nancy and me together years and years ago. You know, we kind of like pooled songs together, and when we found the 14 songs to do, it just seemed like a really neat project to do. Now, I have to admit, it was a challenge, because all of these songs are hit songs now, and they don't go back, they don't go way back. You know, they just go back to maybe the 90s, and but the challenge was they are also familiar to people hearing the original artist who made the hits. I actually had one guy, Steve Nathan, who played on the album with me. He said, you know, I played on the original of that. It was Leanne Womack's I Hope You Dance. And also, but these were all songs that just had some kind of important feeling to me, something, you know, I can't tell you what it was maybe at the time, but some of the songs, I mean, they were just really very important songs to me. And I thought, let's give it a try and see what happens. And I can only hope that the original artists or writers, you know, take a look at them and say, hey, you know, job well done.
One of the artists you chose, I'm a huge fan of. First of all, he's an amazing singer, a great guitar player, a great songwriter. He's really good looking. I hate him. Is Keith Urban. I am a huge Keith Urban fan. I play him from time to time here on All Mixed Up on DHA. Why that particular song did you choose, Somebody Like You? Why'd you choose that one?
Well, you know, first of all, I really loved that song when it came out. I thought the way Keith did it, you know, with the banjo and doing all of the little intricacies, but just the lyrical content of the song, and that's really important to me on this whole album, the whole lyrical content. But this song just had a reflection of, you know, just it was just a fresh love song. And you're right, Keith is the real deal, man. This guy can, I mean, he covers every single bass. I really love him and his music. There were a couple of songs, that could have been done, but this one here just seemed to be one that it just had a great perspective. Just the freshness of somebody like you. I want to fall in love with someone just like you.
He reminds me a little bit, Richie, of Vince Gill.
Yeah, another one of the real deals. And Vince is on the album.
Great.
Yeah,
We're talking to Richie Furay this morning here at 105.5 WDHA. You chose a Mark Cohn song too, and I wouldn't necessarily call that a country song, but it's always been one of my favorites. Why did you choose Walking in Memphis?
It's just, again, one of those songs that I really loved. And Val said the same thing. This isn't really a country song, but he said, let's try and do it. With Mark, he did just piano. It was really a piano song. We made it a guitar song. One of the things that we did want to do with this album was just not do karaoke. We didn't want to just copy the original artist. We wanted to kind of give it our own little flavor. And so when we made it a guitar song, it just kind of changed the vibe around a little bit. But I really, I've always liked that song by Mark. Man, I couldn't believe when I started looking at how many people have covered that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to do that too. That's really, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see, what he thinks about it. But just love the song. He had a great story, the way he told the story and everything. I kind of changed up the lyrics at one point in the song.
I think I know which line. I haven't heard it yet. I have a feeling I know which line. And because you mentioned the vibe. Mark Cohn, of course, Jewish. There's the line in the song, "Tell me, are you a Christian child?" And he said, "Ma'am, I am tonight." I'm guessing that's the line you changed.
That is the line I changed. I said, "Ma'am, you got that right."
Are you still doing ministry? I know you're a man of faith. I know it's a huge part of your life.
Sure.
And
I
left music for a while, right?
I retired from the pulpit ministry on Christmas Eve of December 2017. I just got to that point. I'd come down with Bell's palsy. My wife and I are sitting at breakfast a couple of days before Christmas Eve, and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I feel fine." What's wrong? I said, "Well, the left side of your face is just drooping." And so we went right to the doctor, and it just got me to thinking, everything that we've done pretty much my whole life and career has just been for somebody else. And now Nancy and I are getting on in age, and I just thought, we should maybe just step back and just really start to focus more and more on ourselves before we lose too much more time. And so I did step back from the pulpit ministry. You never leave the ministry, though. I mean, I just did a memorial service 2 days ago, and I fill in for the church where we are right now every once in a while. So, you're still you're still in the ministry, but just not week after week after week. You're required to, be doing the services.
Without getting overly religious here this morning, I've always thought that Christ's message could be boiled down to a couple of phrases. We're only here for a short time. We need to take care of each other.
Amen.
How did that message get so distorted? It's so simple. How did it get so twisted?
I think we as human beings can twist up the simplest of things and make it more complicated than it ever should be.
That's a great answer. Richie Furay is my guest this morning here at 105.5 WDHA. Of course, founding member of Buffalo Springfield and Poco. Richie, you've said a couple of times over the years that not that success passed you by, but certainly, you look and you go, well, that band did, and that band, and well, we're the ones who started it. How do you come to grips with all of that? Certainly you've had a wonderful career, not to downplay anything you've done, but when you look at, again, we talked about the basement to the ground floor of this whole thing. Yeah. Where do you think you fit in with it?
Well, my place in the whole scope of things is actually to just pioneer. Some people it's to go on and hop on, hop on that person's work and carry it on to another level, but somebody has to turn up the fallow ground, so to speak, and give people an opportunity. In the beginning, there was some frustration. I won't deny that, watching Stephen and Neil and Jimmy and Randy and Timothy, go on off to like success, but Jim, I'm very proud of what we did. We opened the door even in my song, We Were the Dreamers, it just talks about, opening the door for the Eagles, who became the most popular American rock and roll band, I think, ever. And they just kind of piggybacked, on the sound that Poco started way back in 1969. But somebody had to turn up that ground so that there was something for them to do. And they, not to coin one of Randy's songs, but they took it to the limit.
And it's not lost on me, and I'm sure others as well, that the year after Buffalo Springfield was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there were the Eagles being inducted as well. You can follow the timeline there.
Yeah. And you know what? It's all good. I know what we did. And, just like when I look at my life and look at some of the documentaries of the Eagles, I know that I would not have been able to have been a part of that, just because of what they went through to get to where they were. But at the same time, I don't know that they would have been able to do what I did in plowing the ground, if they would have been patient enough or just willing to, plow the ground for what was to come. Who knew what was to come? When we started it, we didn't have any idea. We had people with the Troubadour who, like again, in my song on Hand in Hand called We Were the Dreamers, we had people that got it. There were some people that got it. But what we were doing wasn't necessarily, quote unquote, absolutely brand new, because if you go way back to that maybe ground floor, you had guys like Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran and Carl Perkins and Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley who were doing the country rock. They didn't call it that at the time, but that's exactly what they were doing.
You kind of anticipated, I think, a question that I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you saw the Ken Burns country music documentary, and I've referred to this a number of times on the air. Watching that, Richie, I came away with the whole idea of, boy, rock and roll and country rock go a long way back, much further than I ever thought. Right. I think of Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys, and if that's not rock and roll, Richie, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I know. We Nancy and I we recently just watched it. I had a little hesitant, because I felt like I'd seen the one little section on the more current, and I felt like, Poco was maybe kind of like brushed over, so to speak. But, after watching the whole series, I thought it was a terrific series. And I just even recommended it to another friend of mine the other day. If you haven't seen this, start with it and go from the top, go from the very first one, because it is quite a great documentary.
We're talking to Richie Furay this morning here at 105.5 WDAJ, just a couple of weeks away from the release of In the Country. There'll be a vinyl release. There's some bonus tracks as well on the digital edition. The first single, Keith Urban. There it is. He just happens to have a copy. Keith Urban's Somebody Like You is the first single. And then there are a couple of other things, and I've not yet mentioned this on the air. It's been on your website, and I know David, your manager, has put it up on social media. On June 11th, on Saturday, June 11th, at the Alpha Wave Studios in Whippany, which is not very far from the radio station. It's an 8-member band acoustic performance plus question and answer period, and I'll be the moderator for that. I am really looking forward to that, Richie.
That is going to be great, man. Yeah, Jim.
If you didn't know it from the way we started this interview, I'm a huge fan of your work.
Bless your heart, man. Thank you. It's humbling.
And then the following night is the performance at South Orange Performing Arts Center, a place where you've been a number of times, on Sunday, June 12th. And there are only, I think, a handful of tickets remaining for that show, but all of the details on that can be found at richiefuray.com. What are you looking forward most to on this short tour that you've put together for this, Richie?
Well, we'll get a chance to introduce some of the songs on the album. I am enjoying right now this little band that I have found in San Diego, and they are just really terrific people. They did play with me back at Drew University, I think about a year ago. And, it's just really a lot of fun. But we have always, I don't know, SOPAC has just been a fun place to play. And so I'm just looking forward to get back and doing that. But, the night before, when you're going to be there, that too, because it's intimate. And so you get a chance to interact with the people, and I'll call them fans, but friends, because I love doing that, I mean, at all the concerts I've done probably over the last 10, 15 years, I just love mingling in the audience before a show or just after a show. I just love to thank the people for coming out and being a part of the event that's taken place. And so we're going to have a good time, man, just sharing a few songs and then talking. It's not going to be necessarily a big concert performance that night. It'll be, a lot of different aspects of the night, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
That event on June 11th, and you talk about intimate, there's only 80 tickets for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to jump on that. And again, all of the details are at richiefuray.com. When we started the interview, I played you a little snippet of one of my favorite songs of yours. And I don't think it's fair to ask an artist, what's your favorite song that you've written? But of all of the songs that you've done over the course of your career, when you get to that moment in the show, what one stands out like, yeah, I can't wait to play this one tonight for this audience?
Well, you know what? I mean, it has to be Kind Woman because Nancy and I have been married for 55 years now.
Oh, how did you do that?
How
have you done that?
When I look back on it, it's just I like to put my song Hand in Hand and that one together, because Hand in Hand kind of like is us, here we go. It's been this long, but we're still going hand in hand in love. But then Kind Woman, and I guess it's also one of the probably most well-known songs that I've ever written, but it really speaks of the relationship that Nancy and I have, and I'm just really been blessed with that.
Yeah, in a business that does not handle marriage well, I guess, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, you and Nancy are a remarkable love story. 55 years is amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
So again, all of the details on what's coming up, Richie's new album and the performance, the event on the Alpha Wave Studios in Whippany on the 11th, and then the second live appearance, the first full concert on this short tour at SOPAC, South Orange Performing Arts Center on June 12th. All of the details on that are available at richiefuray.com. Richie, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
I'm so looking forward to seeing you, man, in a couple weeks, Jim.